In this video, we're going to go over the history of the TurboGrafx-16 and how it was a vital part of the gaming console wars.
You've had this coming to you for a long time. Step up to the power you deserve. One machine powerful enough to take you to the ultimate gaming experience.
This is not a toy. It's a sophisticated multimedia video entertainment system that uses the latest CD technology, not rated for little boys.
There are only two words you need to know.
In 1987, two Japanese companies would join forces to create a revolutionary gaming system that would help bridge the gap between 8-bit and 16-bit gaming. Hudson Soft and NEC, Nippon Electric Company, collaborated to develop what would become known as the PC Engine in Japan, and later the TurboGrafx-16 in North America. This partnership would lead to groundbreaking innovations in gaming technology, including being the first console to utilize CD-ROM technology and pioneering features that would become standard in future gaming systems. The story of the TurboGrafx-16 begins with Hudson Soft, founded in 1973 by brothers Yuji and Hiroshi Kudo during their college years. The company's name originated from their childhood love of trains, specifically the C-62 type locomotive that passed by their home, which was powered by an axle known as Hudson's type. Initially starting as a shop called CQ Hudson, specializing in radio telecommunications devices and artistic photography, the company's trajectory changed dramatically when Yuji Kudo encountered personal computers during a business trip to the United States in the 1970s. During this early period of computer history, programs were typically distributed through printed code in magazines that users would have to manually input. This led to numerous typing errors and user frustration, creating a significant gap in the market. Hudson Soft revolutionized software distribution by compiling code onto cassette tapes for purchase, effectively creating the software sales business model we know today. By 1978, they were releasing up to 20 titles monthly, primarily focused on video games. While developing games for the Sharp MZ80 series of personal computers in the early 1980s, they created their own operating language called Hue Basic. This was followed by the development of an operating system for the Sharp X1 PC from Sharp Corporation. These achievements made Hudson Soft the only software house that owned an operating system, catching the attention of major players in the industry. In 1983, Nintendo approached Hudson Soft to help create a programming language for their first video game console, the soon-to-be-released Famicom. This consumer programming kit, known as Family Basic, was based around a dialect of the BASIC programming language and released in 1984, initially including a computer-style keyboard and instructional textbook with the cartridge. This collaboration made Hudson Soft Nintendo's first third-party developer, a position they leveraged to create numerous successful titles, including Lode Runner, Adventure Island, and Bomberman. By 1986, riding high on their success with Nintendo, Hudson Soft began developing their own gaming console chips. Their design focused on two primary aspects: providing developers with an easy learning curve and basing the architecture on the popular Z80 series CPU. The company successfully created all the necessary components for a video game console, but faced one significant hurdle. They lacked the hardware publishing capabilities necessary for mass production. Hudson Soft began shopping their design around Japanese companies with the necessary hardware capabilities, including Nintendo. They eventually found their ideal partner in NEC, who saw this as an opportunity to broaden their demographic and increase brand awareness. NEC was already dominating the Japanese personal computer market with their PC-88 and PC-98 platforms, which were the preferred choice for Japanese developers due to their ability to display complex Japanese language character sets with high-resolution graphics. The resulting hardware specifications were impressive for the time. The system featured an 8-bit Hudson UC6280 CPU running at 7.16 MHz, delivering 3.3 million instructions per second. This was paired with a dual 16-bit graphics processor setup consisting of a video display controller and video color encoder. The unique configuration allowed the console to display up to 482 colors simultaneously from a palette of 512 colors, with the ability to display 64 sprites on screen at once. The system included 8 kilobytes of main RAM and 64 kilobytes of video RAM, with a screen resolution capability ranging from 256 by 224 to 512 by 242 pixels. The audio capabilities were particularly advanced, featuring 6 programmable sound generator channels. The system also included low-frequency oscillation, noise generation, and digital analog converter capabilities, making it a powerful platform for game audio. Games were distributed on HuCards, innovative credit card-sized cartridges that could store up to 20 megabits of information. These cards featured a specially designed polymer casing that worked in conjunction with the console's card slot to create a heatsink effect, keeping the components cool during operation. The HuCard format represented a significant departure from the bulky cartridges used by competitors, contributing to the system's remarkably compact design. When the PC Engine launched in Japan on October 30, 1987, it made history as the smallest gaming console ever made, with its sleek white and red design standing in stark contrast to the bulky gaming systems of the era. The success was immediate and impressive. The PC Engine sold 500,000 units in its first week of release. The system's controller design was equally innovative. The Turbo Pad featured a rectangular shape with a directional pad, 2 action buttons labeled 1 and 2, and rubber select and run buttons. What truly set it apart were the 2 turbo switches for the 1 and 2 buttons, each with 3 speed settings. This feature allowed players to achieve rapid-fire effects without constant button mashing, particularly beneficial for the system's numerous shooting games. The controller's design would influence gaming peripheral design for years to come. By December 1988, NEC made another groundbreaking move by releasing the PC Engine CD-ROM 2 add-on in Japan, making it the first gaming console to utilize CD-ROM technology. The add-on consisted of 2 devices, the CD player itself and an interface unit that connected the CD player to the console, while providing unified power supply and output for both. This innovation allowed for vastly expanded storage capacity and CD-quality audio, enabling developers to create more sophisticated games with enhanced soundtracks and features like voice acting and animated cutscenes. The CD-ROM 2 was an immediate success, selling 60,000 units in its first 5 months. By 1989, NEC had sold over 1.2 million consoles and more than 80,000 CD-ROM units in Japan. The success was so significant that the PC Engine actually outsold Nintendo's Famicom in 1988, marking the first time any competitor had achieved such a feat in Japan's fiercely competitive gaming market. The platform particularly excelled in certain genres, becoming a haven for shoot-'em-up games and receiving excellent arcade ports that often surpassed versions available on other systems. Companies like Konami, Namco, and Taito saw the console's enhanced power as an opportunity to create more authentic arcade experiences for home gaming. Even Sega, recognizing the potential of the platform, granted permission for their arcade titles to be ported to the system. The remarkable success in Japan led NEC to pursue the North American market, but their approach would prove problematic. NEC's U.S. operations, led by Keith Schaefer, conducted extensive market research and made several significant changes to the console's design and marketing strategy. The most notable change was the complete redesign of the hardware into a larger black casing that American consumers would supposedly find more appealing and futuristic. This decision was based on the belief that American consumers associated larger size with greater value and power. The system was rebranded as the TurboGrafx-16, emphasizing its graphical capabilities and 16-bit graphics processor. This marketing decision would later become controversial, as critics pointed out that the console actually used an 8-bit CPU. The transformation from the compact Japanese design to the larger American version, combined with extended time spent on marketing research and rebranding, delayed the system's U.S. launch to August 29, 1989. The timing proved disastrous. Sega had released their Genesis console just 2 weeks prior, stealing the TurboGrafx-16's thunder as the first 16-bit console in the American market. The TurboGrafx-16 launched at $199.99, initially only in New York and Los Angeles test markets. The system's pack-in game, Keith Courage and Alpha Zones, failed to capture the American audience's imagination, especially when compared to Sega's Altered Beast, which showcased the Genesis's superior graphics capabilities. Despite these early challenges, NEC showed their commitment to the American market by making the bold decision to stop selling their television sets, video recorders, and other electronics products in the US to focus solely on their gaming console. They pledged between $10 to $15 million for marketing, matching Sega's initial $10 million marketing budget. However, the delayed release and initial missteps would prove crucial in shaping the TurboGrafx-16's future in the Western market, setting the stage for an intense battle in the emerging 16-bit console war. The launch of the TurboGrafx CD in North America on August 1, 1990, marked another significant milestone, but also highlighted the system's challenges. Priced at a steep $399.99 and released without any bundled games, the CD add-on represented a major investment for consumers. The initial TurboGrafx CD launch titles included Fighting Street, a port of the original Street Fighter, and Monster Lair, with Wise Book 1 and 2 following shortly after. While these games showcased the potential of CD-ROM technology with their enhanced audio and expanded storage capabilities, the high cost of the add-on severely limited its adoption among consumers. By March 1991, NEC claimed to have sold 750,000 TurboGrafx-16 consoles in the United States and 500,000 CD-ROM units worldwide. However, these numbers masked a troubling reality. The company had actually manufactured 750,000 units, far exceeding actual consumer demand. This overproduction proved costly, as Hudson Soft received royalties on every console produced, whether sold or not. The situation was particularly frustrating because while the TurboGrafx-16 struggled in North America, the PC Engine continued to thrive in Japan, where it had sold nearly 3.6 million units. To boost sales, NEC implemented several price reductions. On May 20, 1991, they lowered the TurboGrafx-16's price to $99.99, with a Bonk Superset bundle available for $149.95. The system's library of games was growing, and it had some genuine hits. The Bonk series, featuring a caveman protagonist with a massive head used for attacking enemies, became the console's unofficial mascot. Other standout titles included the innovative pinball games Devil's Crush and Alien Crush, the action platformer Legendary Axe, and numerous high-quality shoot-'em-ups like Blazing Lasers and R-Type. The TurboGrafx-16 particularly excelled in the shooter genre, offering arcade-quality experiences that often surpassed versions available on other platforms. The system's hardware was especially well-suited for these games, with its ability to handle numerous sprites and deliver clean, colorful graphics. Games like Soldier Blade, Air Zonk, and Lords of Thunder demonstrated the platform's technical capabilities while building a dedicated following among shooter enthusiasts. In an attempt to compete in the portable gaming market, NEC released the Turbo Express in 1990 for $249.99. This remarkable device could play the same HuCard games as the home console on a 2.6-inch backlit LCD screen, making it technically the most advanced handheld gaming system of its time. However, its high price point and short battery life, requiring 6 AA batteries for just 3 hours of play, limited its success. The Turbo Express was also offered with a TV tuner adapter and a 2-player link cable, showcasing NEC's commitment to innovation despite market challenges. Another unique variant was the PC Engine LT, released in December 1991 in Japan for 99,800 yen. This laptop-style version of the console featured a built-in screen and speakers, but required a power supply to operate. While innovative, its expensive price point meant that few units were produced compared to other models. By mid-1992, facing continued struggles in the North American market, NEC and Hudson Soft decided to transfer management of the system to a new joint venture called Turbo Technologies, Inc. This new company launched the Turbo Duo, an all-in-one unit that combined the TurboGrafx-16 and CD-ROM drive, priced at $299. The Turbo Duo came with a built-in Super System card, allowing it to play both standard CD-ROM 2 games and the newer Super CD-ROM 2 format games. TTI took an aggressive marketing approach, launching a comic book campaign featuring a character called Johnny Turbo, who mocked Sega while emphasizing the Turbo Duo's capabilities and value proposition. The ads particularly targeted Sega's CD add-on, emphasizing that the Turbo Duo was a standalone platform that included 5 pack-in games, whereas Sega CD buyers needed to purchase both the add-on and a Genesis console. Despite these efforts, the console market continued to be dominated by Sega and Nintendo, who were locked in their own fierce battle. The Super Nintendo's release in North America in August 1991 further complicated matters for NEC. While the TurboGrafx-16 had pioneered CD-ROM gaming, Sega was now entering that space with the Sega CD, and Nintendo was exploring various partnerships for their own CD-ROM solutions. The software situation remained problematic throughout the console's life. Third-party support was limited, with many developers hesitant to commit resources to the platform given its struggling market position. Nintendo's restrictive licensing practices during the NES era had also impacted the TurboGrafx-16's early library, as many companies were initially prevented from developing for competing platforms. When these restrictions were later ruled illegal, the damage had already been done. The disparity between Japanese and American software libraries was stark. While the PC Engine received over 650 games, the TurboGrafx-16 saw fewer than 140 official releases. The difference was even more pronounced in CD games, with about 45 TurboGrafx CD titles released in North America, compared to nearly 400 CD-ROM 2 games in Japan. Many excellent Japanese titles, including the highly regarded Castlevania, Rondo of Blood, never made it to Western markets during the system's lifetime. By 1993, TTI's attempts to revive the platform were showing limited success. The company tried to secure more arcade ports, including negotiations for Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter II, but faced resistance from Japanese management. John Brandstetter, who worked on game selection for TTI, would submit lists of titles for potential Western release, only to receive approval for a fraction of the requested games. The situation was further complicated by the strengthening yen and weakening dollar, which made importing and localizing Japanese games more expensive. In an attempt to compete with more powerful hardware, NEC released the arcade card in Japan in March 1994. This upgrade increased the system's RAM to 2,048 kilobytes, nearly matching the capacity of the then-new PlayStation. The card enabled ports of popular Neo Geo titles and pushed the aging hardware to new limits. However, the arcade card was never released in North America, where the market for TurboGrafx products was rapidly disappearing. By May 1994, TTI announced it was dropping support for the Duo, though it would continue to offer repairs for existing units and provide ongoing software releases through independent companies in the USA and Canada. The remaining inventory was passed to a new company called Turbo Zone Direct, which continued to service TurboGrafx systems and sell games and accessories via mail order until 2001. In Japan, the PC Engine's story continued for several more years, with new games being released until 1999. The platform's final licensed release was Dead of the Brain Part 1 and 2, which arrived on June 3, 1999, in the Super CD-ROM 2 format, marking the end of an era that had begun 12 years earlier with the system's groundbreaking debut. Despite its struggles in the Western market, the PC Engine had secured its place in gaming history as a pioneering system that helped shape the future of the industry. In the aftermath of the TurboGrafx-16's discontinuation, the system's legacy began to take on new life through a dedicated community of collectors, enthusiasts, and homebrew developers. The late 1990s and early 2000s saw a growing interest in retro gaming, with the TurboGrafx-16 gaining recognition for its unique library and technical innovations. This renewed interest was particularly strong among shoot-'em-up fans, who recognized the system's significant contributions to the genre. The collecting scene for TurboGrafx-16 and PC Engine games has become increasingly active over the years, with certain titles commanding remarkable prices. Magical Chase, one of the system's rarest North American releases, has seen its value skyrocket from $500 to $2,000 in the early 2000s to several times that amount in recent years. Other rare titles like the Dynastic Hero, which was one of the last North American releases, now commands prices between $630 and $1,650, marking a 2 to 3-fold increase from its 2010 value range of $300 to $500. Legend of Hero Tanma represents another dramatic example of value appreciation in the collecting market. This IREM-developed platformer, which showed gameplay similarities to their arcade classic Ninja Spirit, could be found for $30 to $100 in 2010. However, by the late 2010s, its value had increased many times over, with prices ranging from $460 to $1,600. The limited print run of these later TurboGrafx-16 releases has contributed significantly to their current collectible status. The Japanese PC Engine collecting scene has its own holy grails, with titles like Darius Alpha leading the pack. This unique release, which features only the boss battles from Darius Plus, was originally available exclusively through a mail-in promotion where the first 800 names drawn would receive a copy. Additionally, some copies were distributed as prizes through magazines. Today, this rarity commands prices between $670 and $1,400. As collecting original hardware and games became increasingly expensive, the community turned to various preservation efforts. Emulation programs like Mednafen and BizHawk have become popular tools for experiencing the TurboGrafx-16 library. These emulators have been regularly updated and refined to provide accurate representations of the original hardware's capabilities. In 2010, Hudson released an iPhone application called TurboGrafx-16 Gamebox. This mobile initiative represented an early attempt to bring classic TurboGrafx gaming to modern platforms. A major milestone in the system's modern legacy came in 2019 when Konami announced the TurboGrafx-16 Mini at Tokyo Game Show 2019. This dedicated console, following in the footsteps of Nintendo's NES Classic and SNES Classic, was designed to bring the TurboGrafx-16 experience to modern televisions while preserving the look and feel of the original hardware. The TurboGrafx-16 Mini's development showed careful attention to detail and respect for the system's heritage. The console came preloaded with 57 games, including both TurboGrafx-16 and PC Engine titles. While the COVID-19 pandemic initially delayed its release from March 19th, the system eventually launched in North America on May 22, 2020. The mini console's game selection reflected the diversity of the original system's library, including both HuCard and CD-ROM titles. The inclusion of PC Engine games, many of which had never been officially released in the West, provided a new opportunity for players to experience these classics. Today, the TurboGrafx-16 maintains a dedicated following among retro gaming enthusiasts. The system's unique position in gaming history as a bridge between the 8-bit and 16-bit eras continues to fascinate players and historians alike. Its pioneering use of CD-ROM technology, innovative controller design, and impressive technical capabilities have secured its place in gaming history. Thanks for joining me on this trip through the history of this legendary console. If there is any interesting gaming phenomena you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss more videos like this one. See you next time.